Und das heißt Erika. In der Heimat wohnt ein blondes Mägdelein. Und das heißt
I don't know what it is. This is adorable. How adorable that is. I don't know if she's Japanese or Chinese or whatever, but you know, it's like baby metal. You shouldn't like it. You should probably be on a list if you do, but yet it's kind of cool, you know, like yeah. Or whatever the band was from Blade. It was like a goth synth pop band, but the Japanese girls were rapping to it. I don't know what that song is. I've never looked it up, but that was pretty freaking dope. To use a word that I probably use once a year. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I am currently on version 2.0 of my trenches. That's right, 2.0. Because I can never do anything once. Some of you probably already know this. Yeah, I can never do anything once because I'll start doing a thing and I won't really think about how I'm actually doing the thing. I'll just start doing a thing, you know. So I'll start just throwing stuff together all willy-nilly. And then after I've got the thing about half done, I'll realize that all of the work I've done is basically dog poop. And I could definitely do better, right? So then, depending on the situation, not always, but many times, I will have to completely disassemble, destroy, whatever, the original thing that I've been working on and build another and start over with the version 0.2, which of course ends up being better. So let's see. I need to change this. I don't know why I'm tired. We were going to game tonight, and then people just, and by people I mean my wife, just wasn't feeling it. So we were like, all right. Well, no, I can't put it all on her. I wasn't feeling it either, to be honest. I mean, we were ready though. Everything was cleaned, and you know, there was food to eat, and you know, I've got the book. I mean, we were ready to go, but it's just like, ugh. I think it was me. I was just like, I woke up and I was just like, bleh. You know, that happens sometimes. Oh, look, we've got 4 people watching. That's like almost an all-time high for me. If there's 4 people watching, 2 of them are hate watching. That's kind of like how it goes. Hey, James Lowry. There's Leth, obviously, because you know he's my boy. You're my boy, Leth. Even if you are a ginger and thus have no soul. Yeah. Leth always joins me. He's a fellow hillbilly. Or a stump jumper. That's what we call Leth, a stump jumper. Because he lives where the stumps are. Or where, they've cut the trees down or whatever. Let's close that. I tell you what. Oh, there he is. Good. We'll have somebody to chat with for a minute. Oh, that's Omenow. I haven't seen Omenow in forever.
Hey, man, how you doing?
I am doing very well. How are you doing?
Well, we're just watching the bloodbath go on in federal government. So, I might be looking for a new job, but that's okay.
Well, it depends what you do.
No, I know. But I meant, regardless of what happens, and I think people forget about this, is, hey, here's my choice. Is either I can look at severe inflation, like what happened in Argentina and Russia, or I can be, and that would affect my son, or I can take a hit, later in life and say, okay, but the future is safe. I'd rather look at the future for my child.
Well, that's called being a good parent.
But a lot of people. But yeah, it was a bloodbath on Friday. I walked in and we lost basically anyone that was less than a year was just laid off, regardless of how good they were or needed. It was like, whoa.
Hey, O'Neill Flynn.
But
yeah, I was a little worried about it because a person that's a very good friend of my wife and I works at the VA.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, I hope he's still got a job, I mean,
we'll see.
So far, so good,
Yeah, but I mean, it's one of these things for anyone that's been around the military. This happened to the Department of Defense every 10 years or so. They go through the cycles of boom and bust.
They
do.
do.
I think this is the first time it's affected a lot of other agencies, and that's a real shock for them.
Well, affected some agencies, just completely disintegrated others.
Yeah, well, you know what though, as we start looking at it, it's like I don't know how you look at it and say, I mean, I had a job and I'm not doing anything there, and I said I need to get to a job where I'm busy in case they do have layoffs, and that was 4 years ago. I was like, right. Oh, and I was like, well, I'm glad I switched, but people forget, why would you want this? Because I'm bored. I don't want to sit around doing nothing, and I think there are a lot of federal employees like that. So it's like,
not to mention,
really busy.
Not to mention, if you're doing nothing, that means that your job isn't secure.
Exactly. Well, at the end of the day, when you look at it, but I saw that James putting the stuff up there for, best RPGs. So it's like, all right, this is going to sound fun for a few minutes. So, I
mean, it's like, I'm kind of like that guy that's like, well, I hate to see anyone lose their job. There are some people that definitely need to.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, what I really hope is that.
I don't know. I'm very happy that IRS agents are losing their jobs.
Well, here's what I want is I want enough regulations removed. So not all regulations, people forget about that. They always act like you can't lose any regulation. I'm like, bullshit. I mean, that's complete bull. I mean, there's probably 2/3 of regulations that are there just to prevent competition.
Right.
Internally. And I said, get rid of those. Break open.
It's more than 2/3. I could guarantee you that.
I'm saying at least,
Well, we don't got to be pedantic.
Yeah. But I mean, but people forget about that. Let's not act like they're sacrosanct. I saw so much stuff. But at the end of the day, you know what? I'm playing. I want to go talk about games. And let's so what are some of your favorites there? And
well, for me, we would have to go by genre.
Yeah.
So for fantasy, it's always going to be AD&D or OSC Advanced.
Speaking of that,
because they're so similar,
Yeah, but playing Axe, it just makes me realize on how bad AD&D is.
Well, Axe is an amazing game.
Yeah, I mean, the more I get into it, the more I realize. I mean, it's what I wanted D&D to be versus versus what, because I'm in an AD&D game with Shadow and Sun, and I can just feel, I was like, man, this would just be so much better if we played Axe. And I agree with the OSC. The OSC is great. Axe is that like next level that you might want, but you know,
The
it just
reason
feels.
I don't pick Axe as my number one favorite game is because I feel like Adventure Conquer King is so setting dependent, and which is not necessarily a bad thing, but
So-
There's a bear.
yeah, there's Bear. But it is kind of, I think, more setting dependent than, you know, generic OSC Advanced or
So-
D&D.
Well, so for me, I mean,
if
I
you're
look
playing
at
it right.
well, I've been looking at the system itself, ignoring the setting, and the ability to create your own spells, and it has a good system for that, and classes and everything
Yeah,
else.
you can create your own classes.
Yeah,
What
I mean,
system is this?
go ahead.
It's AZK, Adventure
Yeah.
Conquer Kings.
Yep. And the second
Yeah.
edition just basically took the first edition. And then a lot of the info that they had released in the Axios magazines
Oh,
and added the Axios magazines to the core books.
Yeah, I couldn't back it. It was too expensive. It was just his price point was way too high for me.
Yeah. It was high. It was high. You're right.
it absolutely is. I'm not disagreeing with that. I mean, when you start adding everything up, it's just. But compared to what's coming out now, they are comparatively priced. I mean, that's the way I
Not,
look
not
at
when
it.
you have to convert it to Canadian, dude. Like that's
Oh,
something you got to
God.
keep in mind. I always have to add 40%.
Yeah. Yeah, in your case, it'd be more if I look
Plus
at more
shipping and everything. Is
Oh my god, it's insane.
Yeah.
Well, here's what gets me is I have stuff from Monty Cook Games, and it says it's printed in Canada, and yet you guys can't get it cheaper than we can.
Well, no, because it's distributed from the U.S. So it's printed in Canada, shipped to the U.S., and then distributed back.
I'm like, who thinks of this stuff? I mean, if all the place it should be is you guys should have. That's what I find ridiculous in that. It's like, why are you taxing something printed in Canada?
It's so weird because all my homies that got stationed in Korea, they were able to buy basically all of the shoes and shirts and anything that we get that's made in Korea.
Yeah.
They could just go to where that shit was made and buy it like pennies
Yeah.
on a dollar.
You can do the same thing in India and Bangladesh. Yeah.
You know, so you would think if it's made in Canada, you'd just be able to roll up and be like, hey. You know?
Well, it's printed in Canada.
Yeah,
So it's a
printed
printhouse
then
that
shipped.
prints it up, and then they ship it to the person who ordered it, right?
Which
So
is how
they're not
I got
allowed to
around
sell it at the point. They're not a wholesaler.
there. That's how I got around shipping to Canada. Is if you buy a Canadian a book off of Drive-Thru RPG, even if you buy them the print version,
Not all.
they print it in Canada.
Not all. Many, yes, but
Unfortunately.
not all. I've gotten
But
burned
the
on
one
that.
I bought, they printed in Canada. So I
Yeah.
was like, well, that's cool. That's cool.
That's always
I
nice
mean,
when it's printed in Canada. Trust me.
sounds like racketeering. Yes, O'Neill. That's what we call government. Government
Absolutely.
is racketeering. That's all it is. They got guns. They got a lot of people with guns. You'll do what they say, or they'll put you in a little room for a long time, or kill you. I mean, you know. I mean, our entire lives are propagated upon by the fact that if we don't do what we're told, there will be force.
So
But I'm just saying generic fantasy OSC.
yeah,
But if
yeah.
I want to play Adventure Conqueror Kings, which I consider the setting very important to the rule set, then yeah, Adventure Conqueror Kings is an amazing. But I can't imagine playing Adventure Conqueror Kings without playing in the setting.
So
Because-
I'm gonna.
So much of the game is based on.
You think that, but what we found personally when I create stuff and things like that is it doesn't have to at all. Like it just makes it really easy to feel like things are balanced when I create the character class. I'm not saying everything's perfect. You still have to double check, but
Right.
you know, but really my view is I can take all the stuff in Adventure Conquer King system and transfer it over to OSE, but I have a better mechanics behind it to make it feel, it just feels better to do it that way than it would be. And I could take an OSE character and throw it into it, but I don't find the setting is that big of an issue. We've been playing it for about 8 months, and just the training, and there's a lot of stuff in there. It just feels like it took the best of OSE and AD&D and put them together without the all the strange wonkiness. Now, that said, is to be fair, he's had 11 years to refine it. So by the time the second editions come out, but you've got. What about you're saying best RPGs? And I haven't played it. I have most of the books. The one for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, whichever edition.
It's top 5.
Okay.
How about you, Leth? What's your favorite fantasy role-playing game?
Room specifically, but I just got done with like a pretty good fantasy version of White Wolf.
Well, I mean, one could argue that every version of White Wolf is fantasy.
I mean, technically, but I mean, like like
I'm
medieval
just being
fantasy.
I'm just being a Leth. I'm picking,
Nitpicking.
semantic arguments for no reason. But yeah. Well, that's cool. I mean, I wonder if Ars Magica used a White Wolf style system. I don't remember.
I don't know,
I played Ars Magica. Well, I didn't do it. I bought the book, and from Enterprise 1701 tells you how far back that was.
Yeah, back when the Navy base was open. That's like the 80s.
That was I was there in 92. But like you said, is I got Ars Magica thinking because it said White Wolf at the time, and
Right.
I like the ideas for it. I just didn't feel the system clicked with me, but I never played it. So sometimes you go, man, this looks great on paper, and then you put it on the table, and you're like, this sucks. And other times you're like, man, this seems like it's terrible on paper, and you put it on the table, and it actually plays really well. So
Yes, it looks good on paper. It stuck at the table. My relationship with Savage Worlds.
I know
You guys-
Savage Worlds. I can't say anything. I did hear you talk about it was hard to find balance in that one. So
It's impossible.
I do gotta
to
say,
find
our
balance.
DM
You cannot
did pretty
eyeball a
good.
character. Sorry, go ahead, Leth. Sorry.
I do gotta say that our DM did really good at making a fantasy setting for the White Wolf game.
But
Well, I mean, if you've got good DM, then
What?
you can play fantasy with any rule set. I mean,
Fair.
Bear was playing fantasy with Call of Cthulhu, BRP.
Which White Wolf game, Leth?
World of Darkness rules. I think it's like basically a second edition style rule.
Which are basically skill plus attribute, roll dice,
Yep.
get above number.
Yep.
you know.
Well, actually, above it's like 8 or higher is a success. 10s explode, so you re-roll if you get a 10.
Yeah. Yeah, but that 8 or higher, that's just the average. I mean, your referee can tell you that the target number's 15. And then that you need those exploding die 10s at that point. Otherwise, you're screwed.
I'm going to say this much: having tried the Exalted system, which used a lot of this very similar, it just was one I wanted to like, and it just could never. It just felt so off, no matter what they did.
Our DM doesn't do it by that scaling. It's how many successes you need to win succeed.
Oh, okay. That's a little different then, yeah. Because the way when we played, we played 20th anniversary, and it's you roll the dice and you've got to get the target number on at least one die.
Yeah.
And then the more die that get the target number, the better you did the thing. And target numbers can range from 3 to freaking 30, just depending on how difficult something is. I mean, like walking across the street and ordering ice cream, that's like, well, that'd be free. But, something really easy would be a 3. So if you're
juggling, that's pretty easy.
Threes, then, I mean, you're going to get a shit ton of successes.
juggling while riding your unicycle over a tightrope over a volcano. Now that's a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, our game is not set in Portland, so we don't got to worry about
I'm making a joke. It's
that.
just come on.
Keep Portland weird, guys. That's the actual saying for Portland.
I know.
Keep Portland weird. And I only know it because an actor I really like plays the mayor of Portland in this show. And I pretty much hate everyone else in the show, but I really, really like this one. What's his name? The guy who played Paul Atreides in the original David Lynch Dune.
Kyle MacLachlan.
Kyle MacLachlan. I like him in everything. I can't help it. I like
Is that
him.
Portlandia? You're referring to the show Portlandia?
He's the mayor. He was good, though. There was the one where the one alien was like sucking the adrenal fluid out of people because it was a drug. And he was another alien that come down to get the first alien. And it was like a buddy cop movie, but with aliens.
I Come in Peace with Dolph Lundgren.
Oh, yeah. You had that like CD thrower that would cut people's heads.
Actually, it was released as Dark Angel, and then they changed it to I Come in Peace.
I watched Screamers last night and realized that movie is actually scary.
Shot in Montreal. I know a lot of people who worked on it.
Holy shit. Well, Montreal looks like shit if it was shot there because
It wasn't like it was done on a set or anything. No.
I know.
Actually, no, sorry. You're not
Show
thinking
girls.
of I Come in Peace. You're thinking of what the fuck is that movie called? The Hidden.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, the whole Screamers where you had the type 1 and the type 2 was the little boy that was like, can I go with you? No, type 2 was the wounded soldier crying for help. And type 3 was they did know. That was the boy, Daniel or David or whatever. And then, of course, in the end, spoilers on a show that's 25 years old shouldn't be, but So, Bear, you don't even like fantasy, but
I like fantasy just fine. What the fuck are you talking about?
well, you're always talking about how you're like sick of it.
No, I'm sick of D&D.
Yeah, I caught myself D&D.
Yeah.
So, what's your favorite fantasy game, though?
Or system, kind of thing for fantasy.
Yeah, it could be system.
I just like the way his eyes look. The entire
He
time.
reminds me of a Mac computer that's got like an error. Got like the spinning ball of death. He's just like, oh, time to reset.
Uh-oh.
Okay, what's he got?
Ooh, black pudding, heavy helping. Okay.
Did you write those, or do you know the person who wrote those?
Well, Black Pudding is a zine you can get on DriveThruRPG.
Okay.
And he basically was originally doing material for Labyrinth Lord. And then when he put out the Black Pudding Heavy Helping Volume 1, he just essentially made a BX clone with it. But it's really gonzo. It has like insane character classes like Barbara Bunny. And it's very, very gonzo. Like, it's over-the-top gonzo. But the thing that makes it really worth checking out is everything in the book is done by hand.
Oh, that is cool.
Cool.
Everything.
Even the writing?
Most of the writing is done by hand. I mean, there's a couple of tables I think that might not be, but I think, no, it's all done by hand. That's right. He does everything by hand, except for some of the typesetting. Some of the typesetting is typesetting.
I remember when Black Dog put out their game called Hole.
I remember Hole.
And the whole thing was like somebody just scrawling on paper. Human occupied landfill.
Hole is a whole. Hole is something. But yeah, I'd say that probably if I was just to pick a fantasy game, that would be the one I like most just because of the gonzo aspect of it. Bashki, Bode, that kind of stuff. So it's kind of cool. But if I were to pick like a regular fantasy game, BRP.
Okay.
BRP.
How does that work with the? I'm familiar with Call of Cthulhu. Played that several times, but how does that work with the? And again, I haven't played RuneQuest, which Leth would, with like magic and things.
There's magic, and you have a power, and you have magic points, and away you go.
Just fine because Call of Cthulhu has magic.
Yep.
But I just thought
It's
it was
kind
a
of
little bit
different
more.
than RuneQuest magic, but still close enough.
Well, the best fantasy version of BRP would be
Are we looking at Pendragon here?
no
No.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Magic World.
I've heard
This is
of that.
basically the Stormbringer game from the 80s with the serial number filed off.
Yep. I
Very
think I actually own the PDF, but not the book. Yeah.
But that, of course, sits right beside my RuneQuest 3 as well. So I'm going into it.
See, I don't have RuneQuest 3. I have RuneQuest 6.
I have that too.
I have a little bit of RuneQuest 6, but yeah, I don't have 3 because that's what my cousin has. Well, his
Yeah.
wife has.
Mine's
so the
like a
first version of
giant
RuneQuest
soft
3
cover
was-
book. And it's got a chick fighting like a lizard person on it.
Yeah, that's RuneQuest 2. Or you remember RuneQuest 6? The
Yeah,
one
I have the 6. It was like some random group of guys got the odd
Design Mechanism was what they were called.
Yeah.
So
they
I-
got the rights to put that
And they've
shit out.
continued it as Mithras. They have their own clone of it now called Mithras.
Oh.
So, Humble Bundle had one where it basically gave almost all the PDFs for it, and I was like, oh, okay, it was only $18. I'm like, here you go. And but I haven't really looked into it. I saw bits and pieces of it.
I could
But
see
again, never played it,
RuneQuest
so I
being a
don't know
lot
how
of
to play
fun if the DM really knew what they were doing.
It is. I like it.
But if the DM isn't really 100% on the ball with it, I can see RuneQuest being a major pain in the ass for everybody involved.
Not
Yeah.
really.
Because it's just like, there's a lot going on. I guess is what I'm saying. There's just a lot going on.
Not really. It has that perception. It's less complicated than D&D 5th edition.
Well, I mean, that would be very uncomplicated because 5th edition to me was, in
I
some
think
cases, I thought too simple.
I think the complications from D&D are all of the combinations you can get for stuff more than anything else. But so that's fantasy. What's our next genre?
Well, I mean, there's only, the one genre after fantasy is sci-fi. Bear's like, what?
What about horror?
Oh, well, I mean, the problem is the game I would pick for horror is technically sci-fi.
What Alien?
No, Call of Cthulhu.
Oh, okay.
If you really get down to it, yeah, some of his stories are scary, but it's sci-fi. He's talking about alien worlds and alien creatures and all kinds of crazy shit. Like the Migo putting people's brains in jars so they can transport them to other worlds and shit like that. That is 100% science fiction. It's just the way he wrote it because he was afraid of everything, including sex. That's why him and his wife split up. It's scary, but Lovecraft doesn't have to be scary. Read the Quest for Unknown Kadath or whatever, the Dreamland Chronicles. That shit is like Alice in Wonderland.
Well, fair.
I mean, it's this dreamer wandering around the dreamlands looking for a city that he keeps dreaming about. And, you got the cats that can fly to the moon. And in the one city, if you kill a cat, they put you to death immediately, and moon beasts and satyrs and fairy creatures and
The Plateau of Leng.
the Plateau of Ling, and it has 4 continents, and the continents are just called the North Continent, the East Continent, the South Continent, and the West Continent. They don't really, and the West Continent's the one you want to be on because that's the safest one. And then underneath the Dreamlands is massive catacombs and ghouls know tricks to go from the Dreamland to the, I don't talk politics right now, and to the real world by going through crypts. So ghouls are creatures that can go back and forth kind of at will. And besides that, I'm just some old dude sitting in a freaking game room. Who gives a shit what I think about anything? But
Is it an RPG?
Yeah, if you're
Is it
wanting to
fun
know
to play?
about politics,
Hang on,
you
hang
need
on.
to look into someone else.
Also, though, what do you think about Obamacare? I don't know. 2014 called. They'd like their talking point back. Fuck.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. That was literally like
10
Oh, yeah.
years ago.
10 or 11
11
years ago.
Yeah.
No one gives a shit. I mean, that one scumbag from Arizona or wherever was still alive.
Well, he's rolling in his grave right now because hell's poking him in the rear.
Which scumbag are you referring to?
McCain. Man, I
Yeah.
can get McCain.
Anyway,
But
the
no. I went off on a tangent, but yeah, Lovecraft wrote fantasy. The Dreamlands is all fantastical. And then he wrote sci-fi. And that's about it. So, sci-fi game, though, Traveler 2300 or Coriolis. I love Coriolis. The setting more than the rules.
I've been reading Coriolis. I haven't played it. I really have to do a deep dive, but I love the mutant, the Year Zero engine for like how they did with Alien. I looked at the second edition, and I'm kind of going, I think I'll just go to the first edition right now. We'll see. I've only read the first 100 pages because that's all they've released so far for the second edition for Coriolis. But I'm beginning to think
it's not really a second edition though.
Oh yes, it is. They added new stats. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
It's
but what I
changed up.
mean is it's a whole different game. You're not
It
in
is,
the Third Horizon.
Yeah, that's I know. I thought it would be very similar. This one they've
It's
Not
like
like
you're a scavenger or something.
I would compare it to the difference between like second edition and third edition for how different it looks like it's coming into it.
Yeah, but I'm not even talking about mechanics. I'm talking about the setting itself is totally different.
That's true. Yeah, but I meant, the mechanics have changed up a bunch. They haven't even released enough on the background yet. I was just looking through the rules. I'm like, I don't know how I feel about the bird. They did something with the bird, and then they've added 2 more stats before what they had before. I'm just not feeling it.
Well, I mean, the best rule set that Free League ever put out was Twilight 2000. 100%. That is the best rule set they ever put out. And I wish that if they're going to do a new Coriolis, I wish they would have copied Twilight 2000. Because I like having more stats, skills, etc. And I like rolling more than just a handful of dice and looking for 6s. You know, I like, there's so much more you could do. Now, if I were going to make a role-playing game, which I thought about running a role-playing game based on the Trench Crusade setting, I'm thinking I would use BRP. And there would be magic in it, but it would have to be either like thaumaturgy for the good guys, you know, like power, divine power for the good guys, and then like Cthulhu, like evil shit for all the bad guys. Because, you know, some of the different things in that setting can use goetic magic, like Solomonic magic and shit like that. So, but that would be awesome because insanity could be a thing. Because let's be honest, if you get charged down by a half demon, half goat monster, and you're fighting it with a rusty bayonet, then I mean, there's probably going to be some sanity issues. You know, you see some giant demon thing bite your buddy's head off, you might lose a little sanity. You know, living in
Well, that's
the
why I like.
trenches and shit.
Well, that.
Hey, what's
why I
up, BRC?
Alien. That's why I liked Alien for that. Is they have that stress mechanic that goes up and down. And,
Yeah, with the extra dice.
Yep.
Okay, O'Neill thinks that it's too chunky for a Year Zero game. Yeah, I can understand that, but the problem I have, O'Neill Flynn, is I was in the Army. I am a combat vet. So if a game to me is going to simulate combat, I want it to simulate actual modern combat. And Twilight 2000 by Free League does just about the best example of that of any game I've ever played. The fact that when you roll to hit with your machine gun, you also roll a handful of suppression dice. I mean, it's just good stuff. But for sci-fi, I mean, just in general, and then we'll let Leth and Bear talk about, but just in general, I'm a huge fan of Traveler 2300. I like that near Earth, near future, everything. It's like things are futuristic and yet they're still recognizable, you know? Like if a guy pulls a pistol on you, you don't have to worry about being some kind of crazy thing. It's probably just a 45 caliber pistol he's going to shoot, you know? I mean, and I kind of dig that. It's like, you know, but yeah, so that's my answer. Traveler 300.
And Traveler, I like Traveler 2300 better than just the regular Traveler, exactly for the reasons you said.
Yeah. But so who wants to go next? Got Bear over here looking like a Sith Lord and shit.
Good. I probably would say for me, for sci-fi,
Yeah. Like straight up sci-fi.
just generic sci-fi or theme sci-fi.
It can be either way, but it's got to be sci-fi.
Star Wars D6.
Well, that's a good one. That's in my top 10 or top 5 for sure.
That's my
Okay,
top 5.
Captain Gamer's got a question for you, Bear.
What's the question?
It's in the chat.
I have a question for you. In your professional opinion, given your background, do I have a good voice for reading audiobooks? Raven said I do. Raven is woo-woo. I don't know, dude. I haven't listened to your voice enough to decide. I don't do audiobooks, so I don't know. But audiobooks require a very specific skill set. I have a friend who does it. She does very well. She makes a lot of money. But you got to have a very specific skill set to do it. You have to be able to be clear, but also emotional and also engaging and all these things that I don't really know about because I've never done an audiobook. So I would say, I don't know, but Raven is someone I always take with a grain of salt.
I love Raven to death.
I love Raven to tears. I will fight wolves to protect Raven. But
She does think Bigfoots could be demons, though. Or
she
angels.
also
Or
thinks
extra
Bigfoot wrote a letter.
dimensional creatures. So,
She also thinks Bigfoot wrote a letter.
yeah, so it's like, okay. No, it'll be funny when we die and get to heaven and it's like, Bigfoot is an extra dimensional.
And Loch Ness is sitting on, like Nessie is sitting on the throne. Welcome.
You show up to heaven and St.
What
Peter lets you
the
in and there's just
fuck?
Bigfoots everywhere.
Bigfoot's and Loch Ness monsters everywhere.
Just everywhere.
Bigfoot's
Well-
riding Loch Ness monsters everywhere.
It's like,
Hey, is it
The-
too
the-
late to
the-
go to hell? Hello, beings. How are you?
hey, there could be Bigfoots and Loch Ness monsters in hell too if they were bad.
No.
How about you, Left? Do you got a favorite sci-fi game or?
Probably Cyberpunk. I never got to play it, but I do like the
Honestly,
lore.
I don't think Cyberpunk is a sci-fi game. I think it's specifically a cyberpunk game, right?
Yeah, that's kind of its own genre, really.
Fair, I guess.
because you can, I mean, in order for it to be cyberpunk, you have to have like a dystopian world where everybody's like broke and money sucks, and
That's
you're like,
You mean the modern day, except that we have claws coming out of our hands.
right.
That said, you could use the Cyberpunk engine, the interlock system, for a very good sci-fi game. Hi, wow, you're really in a loving mood. What's going on with you, buddy?
Oh,
But you're
because
great.
He's just like, I just pooped in your plants.
You did something.
hey, wait a minute. If he did that in the plants, at least you don't. Hey, it's fertilizer.
No, it's not. The ammonia in a cat will kill that stuff.
But yeah, okay. If Bear's willing to let it slide, I have no dog in that fight about cyberpunk being sci-fi or not.
It's near sci-fi. I think sometimes we think sci-fi is it has to have space, robots, and starships.
Well, you know what though? Cyberpunk Red has most of those. It has space because there is colonies on the moon and all that bullshit. And there are robots because you might as well consider what's his name, Max Driver or whatever the hell his name is. He's pretty much almost a robot.
Yeah.
He's just a brain in a jar in a big body. Run around killing things. So,
I gotta go, boys. I gotta get ready for our show at 8:00 with Cody
oh, you
All
got
right, man.
show at 8?
on the other channel on the yet another paranormal podcast. We're doing Bob Lazar tonight.
Oh, nice.
Oh, cool.
Well, then, see you, man.
Yeah, take care, Bear.
Thanks for dropping in.
See you guys later.
Yeah, understandable.
No, I mean that's why I said there's a lot of different genres out there. It's just like what eras are we looking at? To me the Warhammer Fantasy is right at that Renaissance level. Right past where D&D is. For a lot of it, and
Well, if we're talking science, cybernetic type stuff, like Let's said,
yeah.
my favorite rule set is Cyberpunk, but my favorite setting is Shadowrun.
I hated Shadowrun first, second, and third edition. I liked the fourth, and then fifth was rushed because they had embezzled money. Apparently,
Yeah, and it's sucked ever since then.
and I don't even know about six. Like I said, I enjoyed fourth because I just like dice. I like the dice pools, and I didn't like the target number and all the other weird crap they had there. Like, just let me just roll. Why do I have to because I always knew how to game that stuff. But it felt like they were going in the right direction, and instead of cleaning everything up, it just feels like they have to break the game every edition instead of saying, hey, let's figure out what went wrong and really refine it a lot. So
See, I am of the exact opposite opinion because I hate techno mages and physical adepts.
yeah, I would cut down
second
a lot of
edition
that
is
stuff.
where it is for me.
Yeah, I would cut a lot of it down myself. But yeah, the it was over. I did not like. Well, the problem I had with it is you had your characters were basically in three different areas. You had the astral, you had the site, you had the net, and then you had the physical. And trying to run all three at once. It sounds like a really cool idea, but man, putting it on the board was it always seemed to fall apart.
And that is why Cyberpunk is so much better. Because at least with Red and the newer one, the internet is dead. If you want to jack into anywhere, you got to be there. And the way cyber decks work is you jack into it and it creates an overlay over reality. So you can see reality, but you can also see the overlay.
Yeah.
And then depending on which thing you're doing, you can get penalties to your roll because you're not concentrating fully on one or the other thing. Original Shadowrun, if you wanted to jack into some network, you had to go to the place, find a console, and jack directly into it.
Yeah, you had to do that, but then, basically you're just running a game for one player while they're doing that while the others sit around. That's why I didn't. Some things are. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, all I was saying is it's one of those that looks great on paper, but as soon as you try putting on the board, it's like, yeah, let's do something else.
Yeah.
Or guess what? The NPC is running over there, and I am virtually running him. Not that, so I can decide whether he's succeeding or failing. That kind of thing as the players are going through their stuff. That's, yeah, it was. So it, yeah,
And that's why I was going to say that in Cyberpunk Red, it's not bad at all because the Netrunner has to be there with you. So on their turn, they can decide whether they're trying to crack black ice or whatever, or dodging bullets because they have to be there.
Yeah.
And it's not just, and the way they did net running is streamlined. So like you said, it's not everybody go outside and play a 2-hour game of Risk while me and this guy figure out what's going on with this network. Pondsmith totally killed that. That's gone. And hopefully never coming back. Shadowrun, on the other hand, is like Catalyst Games cannot help but mismanage every IP they got. The only good thing I can say about them is a lot of the new mechs are awesome looking.
Well, that's good. Yeah, it's one of those that, well, and a lot of it was, of course, that was the scandal we're talking about, 10 plus years ago, where they didn't pay their freelancers and everything else. And yeah, I mean, you shot yourself in the foot at that.
Catalyst.
This was Catalyst.
Yeah.
Catalyst. So they brought up 4.5. I thought it was going in a really good direction. Their 20th anniversary edition. I was like, oh, that's really, really cool. And I was on the board, and the guy said, oh, they didn't pay me for my work on such and such book. So I removed my copy. I claimed the copyright to it, so they couldn't print it until they paid him. And it was, and it seems like more RPG people get, whether you like them or not, whether it happens to Steve Jackson, I think it happened to Kevin Simbia. It's like that's what kills a lot of these companies. It's not necessarily the game quality or anything. It's that they kill themselves by just stupid financial mismanagement, or someone embezzles money or stuff like that. And it's like, I think that happened to. I was talking to someone. He worked for GDW.
PSR.
Yeah. Well, it was GDW.
The Blooms freaking put them in so much debt that they're never getting out of it. And then they got Laura, what's her name, and she basically just killed second edition, just because she was all like, we're going to basically spam out as much bullshit as possible. And players didn't like that. And then on top of that, White Wolf came out.
Right. Well, there was that. Yeah. Well, there was the weird thing that they would get paid by the books, but when the books came back, they had to give the money back. It's like, yeah. And I'll be honest, is as much we knock at it, is my mother was doing a master's degree, and she contacted Ore-Ida Potatoes. She was doing stuff on business and TSR. And TSR, and this was under Lorraine Williams, man, they gave her all sorts of promotional material and all sorts of things explaining their business. I mean, it was really, they really went above and beyond. And
yeah, their business model was, hey, I own the rights to Buck Rogers.
Oh, no. Lorraine Williams owned the rights to Buck Rogers. No one else did. So
right.
The company did. Yeah,
exactly.
That was
kind of the business model.
Yeah.
I own Buck Rogers. But the problem is no one gave a shit. Is like,
well, I think she took.
Okay, somebody gave a shit, and that was me, because I actually bought the Buck Rogers war game.
Oh yeah,
that had the map of the solar system, and
my friends loved. I had some friends that loved the board game, but like you said, is when she left TSR, she took Buck Rogers with her, and then she's just like held on to the IP forever. And so it never went anywhere. But I there was so much in there. I mean, to be fair, some of my favorite settings, there were two things that happened. I loved Greyhawk, and I loved the Dark Sun. But the rest of it, I didn't give a damn about. I had no connection to Forgotten Realms. You know, that didn't feel like that. The other one was, I still don't forgive her for what she did to Star Frontiers. I was like, really? And that's just, you know,
Are you talking about Alternity Star Frontiers?
no, I'm talking about the fact that they literally killed the entire line for Star Frontiers in like when Gygax left.
Yeah,
Um,
because when third edition put out Alternity,
Yeah,
they actually had all the aliens from Star Frontiers in it.
but it's a different
So
game.
if you wanted to play a Rusk or something, you could.
But it was a different game at that point. Is what I was
Yeah, it
feeling.
was totally different.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Is and I to be fair on this, you know, we're talking, you know, early D&D. Hey, it's a D100 system that's skills based. I was like, oh, this is so cool. I like this better than level based games. And you know, I felt like if you just jacked up your laser high enough, you could take out the biggest monster in like 2 or 3 shots, but then you had like nothing left. So it really did create some you know, interesting aspects to it. But
Well, yeah, well, it added not only skills being a thing and percentile being a thing, but remember when you made your character, you had to choose your primary skill
yeah,
thing. So you could choose to be like robotics,
Yeah, it was-
biotech, which meant
Yeah, there
you
was-
were a healer.
there was like weapons,
Yeah, weapons
technology.
specialist,
Yeah,
computer
and then all this.
technology. It was
all-
like
yeah.
there was all kinds of like things going on there, you know.
Yeah, I thought it was.
And I don't think Zebulon fixed it.
No, I think Zebulon. Here's the problem I had with Zebulon, is you changed the whole system that I grew to love, where I liked some of the randomness from rolling lots of dice to
Right.
making it. Well, it's this, and maybe it was better, but it's like this isn't the game. This isn't Star Frontiers. This is
wasn't
another
better.
game.
The Spectrum system, face rip
Yeah.
system always sucked.
Hey.
There are some people who will argue that it's the best thing TSR did. And every time you hear somebody arguing that, it's because they played Marvel. It's never because they're like, oh, Gamma World 3rd edition was absolutely the best. No.
Well, so for me, it's like, look, you like what you like. I'm not going to argue about that, but it was one of those that I said, but it wasn't Star Frontiers to me. I had been playing the first edition. Now you've changed it all up. It's a different game system, like you said with Alternity. It's like it's a different game. You know, it's
Right. And yeah, it's just a different game. It's not the same game. Whether you call them Vrusks and Drowsites or not doesn't matter, because it's not the same game. It's not set in the same setting. You know, just it's just different.
Yeah.
But yeah, the face rip system, I never liked it. As a matter of fact, I remember buying the Gamma World 3rd edition box set. And as soon as I opened it up and started reading the rule book, I was like, F this.
You know, and I'm not going to knock him because I know that Bear's doing, which I
was
did
done
support.
with it.
Was no, I mean, but Bear's done his heroic, and he uses the slightly modified phase rip. I was like, that's fine, you know. I
backed it. So whether I hate it or not,
yeah,
you know, I backed it.
Exactly, I did too, and it was like, hey, you know, Bear, I'd like to see you do well, and you know, it's not my thing, but screw it. Here, I'll support you. You know, that's the way I feel about it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's a bad game. It just means like a lot of things, it's just not for me.
Yeah, it's not for me. If you want to be like that guy,
yeah, I know,
and be nice and all, then yeah, it's just not for me.
You know, just
Yeah,
like
you know what is for me?
What?
Gamma World 2nd edition.
I've never played it, so I don't know.
It is for me. It is a there's no classes.
Mm-hmm.
You roll up your attributes, and if you have mutations, and then you start playing the game. And there's no classes, but there are levels.
Okay.
and you can get more hit points and stuff. But but really, it's just about rampaging through the rubble of Pittsburgh, and trying to get as much loot as you can.
Oh, okay. So it's like modern day. I'm just
Right. Right.
No. One game that I don't like the system, but every time I've played it, it's run really smoothly and I've had fun. Is Cypher and Numenera.
Right.
I don't. I mean, it's really easy to play. I've played with the group. I say recently, I guess within the last 6 months, I went over to a guy's house. There were 10 people playing. It ran really smoothly with all of us. But at the end of the day, it just isn't my thing. It doesn't scratch that itch that I want mechanically. But yeah, and every game I've ever played has been completely ridiculous. There was one where it was a sock hop with it was kind of like what was that? I can remember the songs and stuff. I can't remember. Anyway, it was but it was basically set in the 1950s, and then a bunch of aliens came down and attacked the sock hop, and we had that one. We had another one that was on but it ran so smoothly. It was very easy. Just modify whatever you wanted right there. It's like, oh, okay,
Right.
here you go. And so people who want that, they can do it, but it just doesn't click with me.
So, Lat,
Mhm.
since I vetoed your choice for sci-fi,
Okay,
you
so
wanna make
far
another
sci-fi
choice
left.
for sci-fi.
That one would be interesting. I guess I would be with you on the Call of Cthulhu.
Which Call of Cthulhu is my number one horror game. I don't
I guess.
for
But
sci-fi.
I'll take
I
it
like
for sci-fi,
Traveler
too.
better, but Call of Cthulhu is technically sci-fi.
So Les, which now when I was like I said, if we're going to go out more for your traditional
Although,
space
if
stuff.
anything, with Call of Cthulhu, I kind of wish they had a little bit of more rules for sci-fi tech, like laser weapons and stuff, so
They
you could do
do.
like a few. Not as much as I'd want, though.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
well, not in the core books or anything, but there's a whole different game.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about Project Green or whatever. It's called Interface or something like that. And it's basically Call of Cthulhu, but 1,000 years in the future.
Yeah.
Humanity has came to grips with the great old ones, and Mego. You can have a ship and have a Mego as a crew member. So it's basically, the game just leans heavy on the sci-fi aspects of Call of Cthulhu.
RuneQuest DM wanted to use Call of Cthulhu for a kind of like a sci-fi horror in a space station.
Don't they have an adventure for that?
They might have, but the thing is, with what she could find, she couldn't find any of the things that would help her as much as she wanted with that. It was it had I think rules for a laser gun and a spacesuit, and that's about it.
Okay.
Traveler did have a mission. It was one of their short adventures where you go to a station, and while you're there, you find that everyone's kind of dead or whatever. And then, of course, everyone's thinking aliens and shit. And it turns out it's just a crazy guy.
It's just a crazy guy. Yeah.
If you for Traveler,
but that's classic Traveler.
Yeah, if you do the Traveler, what is it, the companion, where they start having morale and sanity and stuff as those additional stats, I mean, it makes it really easy, I think, to modify a lot of it. It's just that a lot of people just don't do it, but I think that Traveler's probably the most flexible I've seen for a lot of these.
Well, the thing is, because with Traveler, it's really simple.
Yeah.
Roll 2 dice 6 and hope you get 8 or above, and you can add your skills to it.
Yeah,
and if you have some super above average attributes, you might get some bonuses from that.
So I had Justin roll up a Traveler character for me a couple weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
I guess it was almost maybe a week and a half ago. Like, hey, Justin, You roll for me because I know how I am. I will roll forever until I get the stats I want. If you let me, I'll roll 1,000 characters up until I get a character. Anyway, he rolled everything up for me, and by the time we were done, I had a 15 intelligence, a 13 education, at least 10s, and most of the other stuff. And I went, damn, Justin, you just can roll up everything for me from now on. That way I don't have to mess with this. And I'm like, well, you can't claim I was cheating. You can't claim that, I was cherry picking things. And but I agree with you. It's the nice thing with Traveler, hey, it's hard. Guess what? It's now you have to roll a 12. Hey, if it's impossible, it's a 16. Add your modifier with your skill and roll. It's like, oh, okay. It's a real simple and easy to go through. And then, of course, the little mini game at the beginning, for character creation. You can get lost in character creation. Well, I felt the same way about
I love
Conan
creating
PD20.
characters.
Traveler is the only game that my wife actually doesn't mind making characters for.
Oh, okay.
Because she likes, like you said, that mini game,
Yeah.
Do I go to college? Do I graduate college? What job am I going to get? What skills am I going to get?
I kind of think of those things whenever I think of a character, like what would be my character would be doing while before they go on this adventure.
That's true, but the thing is with a little bit of the randomness, it's just like real life. Where you think you're gonna end up is not necessarily,
And I'll do things like that too. I'll actually roll, I'll come up with a way to roll up like random things for my character.
Like you might think you're going to end up like on welfare in Eastern Kentucky. And then depending on how you roll, you could end up becoming a fireman.
Yeah, true.
That's the essence of Traveler,
Yeah.
I
No,
mean,
my dad was a fireman at one point.
Yep. You have what you think you. Plus, you start the game and you're like, man, I want to play a Marine. Well, guess what? You might.
I think some other of my family
Or you might get killed.
Were firemen too.
Or, well, in New Traveler, you won't get killed. You'll just get like extremely damaged and have to have a hospital bill. And
Or hey, you might actually
or
be
maybe
a
fake limbs
fireworks
or
wholesaler
something.
too. That could happen, right?
You could be a firefighter in Traveler, but it would
No,
just
fireworks
be,
wholesaler.
Yep.
What do they call it? A public servant or whatever.
Well, I thought it was funny because you can roll and like, okay, you didn't get in this, and then some of them like, I have this grand plan, and it says, well, you've been drafted into the military. You're like, oh, come on, I didn't even want to go that way.
Right? It's like
You drafted into the military, you lose an arm.
Yeah, exactly.
it's like you wanted to go to college and become something, but instead you fell out of college and got drafted into the army, and then you got a leg blown off on some alien planet, and so they give you the cheapest fake leg they can and a bunch of debt.
Yeah.
And also someone used to be in your unit hates your guts for some unknown reason. Like, I don't know, maybe he slept with his wife or something on leave. But regardless, but it's okay because also on leave, the wife you slept with becomes a contact.
Yeah, it's
So making a Traveler character is a game all of its own,
and then you keep on saying, well, do I want to go ahead now and get a chance of getting better or worse, or do I get a promotion? Like I think I rolled up one time, the character's like, yeah, he's going through, and you roll like 2 to get promotion, so you get mustered out, and you look at it and it's like you were thrown in jail, and you're like, but I was like the premier,
it's like your next career must be the prison career.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, what? I just went to jail?
Well, it's like, what happened to me? Well, you were a whistleblower, and so they framed you and threw you in jail. I mean, you can, it's like, okay. So even though you did everything that was supposed to be right, you got screwed. It's
screwed.
like, well, do I want to go for the next? Do I want to go for the next one or not? And you're like, well,
no. Me and Hungar, we were making a Traveler character.
Always roll the dice.
Yeah.
And he decided to go into Navy, and he chose command branch, which I don't know if you guys know, but it's hard to get promoted, but it's also super hard to die.
Okay.
It's like the safest branch in the Navy, but it's really hard to get promoted unless you've got an 11 social.
Oh, okay, yeah.
At which point it's pretty fucking easy, and you graduated from Navy Academy, right? By the
Yeah.
time he decided to let his character be like an adventurer, he was like 60 something.
Oh, geez. And
You
what,
know,
is it
his
like
character had
battalion
like a
admiral?
4 strength. It
Oh.
was like, well, I mean, that was really fun rolling this character up, and he's really good at all of the command skills. I mean, he's basically like Captain Kirk, or well, not Kirk, but Picard, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is he's old, like really old, and basically on death's door. And no, he didn't get any analgesics, and yeah, he's basically effed.
Well,
This is
Well,
an
if I-
unplayable character.
well, you say he's unplayable, but then you look at it, it's like, well, as long as he remains on the bridge of the ship, you're fine. As soon as you like leave the ship, you're screwed. Well, the
Yeah.
other one was if you start looking at it, you get like rank 6 or something, and then you say, well,
Oh
I
yeah,
get
yeah.
like,
He was like an admiral in the Imperial Navy.
and then you get retirement, so you keep getting money, so you're not trying to scrounge like everybody else, and then you
Yeah.
get like 25% of a ship or something like that, and you get like all these contacts.
Oh well, you get like 6 or more mustering out rolls, and
Yep.
if you roll like a 6 on the money, you get like 100 grand. You
Dang.
know, so your character starts already with like, you know, more than a
Good chunk
quarter
of
of a
change.
million credits, and stock in a starship, and like all
So-
this crazy shit.
So I think it was Crafting Gamer. Maybe he can correct me, but it was one of them. One of them, I think, did it, and they stayed in long enough that they got 25% of a ship. It says 25% of whatever ship, because if you stay in long enough, that you start getting a bonus to your mustering out rolls. It's like +1, which doesn't seem like much. but that
Okay, a
makes
ship share, that's like 10%, right?
Ship share is like $1 million, I think. But no, this was actually like 25% of a ship. It says like you get 25% of a ship, and I went, that's a hell of a lot if you're looking at something that's 100 million, credits.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like a Far Trader or a Fat Trader, like the Emperor Merkava ship. That thing's like 100 million plus.
Oh yeah, it's. I
I mean,
think
ships in Standard Traveler are very expensive,
Yeah.
and ships in Traveler 2300 are almost impossible to get.
the other part I like about 2300 is because it doesn't. Is 2300 as far as the setting. I just like that so much better. The other one just feels like too vast and too big, but this one just feels big enough. It almost feels like Firefly whenever you're playing.
Well, it
you have
almost is. I mean,
Yeah.
what if your character, you chose to play a character and you lucked out on your die rolls, and your character is a Texas Ranger, and you travel about from one of the colonies to the next doing, freaking Chuck Norris shit. Plus, the Texas Rangers got a colony on Aurora, so they're deep into the combat with the Kafer. Like, they're all about it, you know what I mean? But they
Yeah.
also got a colony or whatever on the Eber homeworld. And I'm just saying that's just one possibility, you know?
Oh, it's well, and we'll see what they're doing with the new stuff. I saw that, and I was really thrilled. The bundle of holding had basically all of the 2300 stuff recently.
I'm
No, I
glad
mean-
for you, because I bought it when it very first came out, and believe me, they were like, "We're gonna make some money."
Yeah, well, no, I meant, but I think it was only a few months ago that they came out with all the PDFs for all of the books,
Mhm.
and I will wait. I mean, I literally waited 3 months to get my Core Traveler book just because I was off by so much percentage from Amazon. Like, okay, I'll give it. I'm gonna be a cheap bastard if I can. So
I do have to say, one of the things they did, which I thought was nice, is when I bought the Traveler 2300 box set, which was $99, they gave me the PDF for free, including a PDF of the Traveler core book,
Oh, really? With the whole
which
thing?
I already had anyway. But
Yeah.
they gave
I mean-
me a PDF of it, so I was
I mean,
like, "That's nice of them,"
Oh.
because it uses all the same stuff except there's one career from the core book you can't be, but barbarian. But
Okay.
then there's a career in the 2300 book that they added, which I think is the drifter,
Yeah.
which is, just a guy that drifts between one station or colony and another, doing his
I'm
thing.
missing, let's see, for the physical books, I think I'm missing 2 of the books, but the rest of them I was able to get. If you wait long enough, they usually have like a 30 or 40% sale. And
Yeah, I managed to get all but one, and that's only because I don't think they've released it yet.
yeah, I think so, like I said, is I had to wait. I got the core update right there. That finally came in about a week ago, but I ordered this in November. Just so it's
That's a new core book.
it's this. Well, I think it's a new
I've
cover.
got the 2024 one.
Oh, okay. Well, this is 2022, and then this is the 2024 companion one.
Right.
But it's a new cover, but basically everything else is inside the same. And since I have I guess it's the bundle of holding or humble bundle, I have the newest versions for it. So, it's like, oh, okay. But yeah, Traveler has a lot to it, but man, I think 2300 is just right. It just fits that sweet spot, like you said, of it's far enough in advance, but it's not so far that it feels ridiculous.
Right. And you're not worried about the 3i or whatever, and all this other crazy shit. And the aliens make way more sense. Instead of just being cat and dog people, you actually have actual very alien things you got to deal with. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons to like the 2300. I mean, if you think about like the Eber, they are freaking weird, and the little lizards that fly, they're just, it's like original Traveler aliens mostly were just kind of dumb. Let me see here. I am going to be taking off, guys.
We can't hear you, Manel.
You know what? See you later. I've got a game coming up in about 20 minutes myself. So,
Yep, that's why I was saying we're taking off. And of course, everyone's favorite horror game is Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah.
hey, I still like Alien.
It's a good one. Anyway, though, catch you guys later.